Okay, so we are here with, introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Mikael, Dr. Tranquillity.
Yes, and we will be talking about the history of the band.
Holy shit, alright,
Wow,
we're going back.
when did this all begin for you?
When did it all begin?
Even before the album came out, how long was it before you actually made the record?
Well, we started out in my parents' garage in 1989. Me and Nicholas were bored out of our minds, and we wanted to do something, make music. We were listening to music, we were talking about music, we were collecting music and tape trading music. That's all we did. So we figured, why not start a band? Just do something.
What kind of a musical climate was there back in Sweden at that time?
There were a bunch of small bands, some really cool ones, and there was a demo stage. Like in Stockholm, there was Nihilist and Dismember, that kind of stuff. In Norway, it was a couple of black metal bands. Gothenburg, some thrash and some cool bands that we liked and we looked up to, that we wanted to be like, So it was growing, but at the same time, we had no idea what was going on. We were just fascinated with this extreme music that we wanted, and this scene that we wanted to be a part of.
Cool. So how long before the first album came out, and how was it even?
Well, so
under what circumstances?
Skydancer, the first one, so that came out in '93. We released a demo first, when we were being super unserious and we didn't really feel we comfortable or confident that we could make music. And then we did another demo. We did an EP, 2 songs that we released on a German label. That got the attention of Skydance. What are they called? Spine Farm in Finland. And so they heard that, and then they wanted to offer us a deal for the first album. And the way that came about was kind of cool. They sent us, we were a record label from Finland, we're gonna release this album soon, and it was the first Sentenced album, North From Here. And we heard that album, and we were blown away, and we were like, all right, we want to be on the same label as this band, because it was such an incredible album. So that's how Skydancer happened, basically.
Anything else about Skydancer? Making of the record, the songs?
Well, I was playing guitar back then.
That's right.
Yeah. And,
different role.
Yeah, Anders Fridén was singing. We had no idea how do you record an album in the studio. We had 2 weeks in the studio. It was super expensive. It was a studio that never recorded any death metal before, or any metal even. So it was a matter of convincing and teaching the guys who worked in the studio what death metal was, and at the same time trying to figure out how to record something, and it was tough, but it was really interesting, and we were young and idealistic, and we had all these grand ideas about what we wanted to do, and we kind of learned the harsh reality of recording, through that first album. Realized, all right, maybe you can't do all those things, but it was fun. It was challenging. I hated playing guitar because I was really crappy at it. So then, so immediately after the recording, actually, that's when we parted ways with Anders, and I started singing. We just felt like that.
How smooth of a switch was that for you?
For me, it was great. It was. I wasn't comfortable playing guitar, and I loved singing. So for me, that was very easy. But of course, it kind of sucked. We had to kind of tell Anders we're not on the same page. But it all worked out, of course, obviously.
Second album. Yeah. That's when you really were forefront.
Gallery. Yeah. So finally, we had a new guitar player in the band, Fredrik Johansson. I started singing full time, which was great for me. And Fredrik is a fantastic guitar player, and so he wrote a lot of stuff. And I think we realized that we were capable. We could do stuff, On Skydancer, we were just trying out things. Whereas as soon as we started rehearsing and writing the songs for the Gallery, we realized, hey, we can actually pull this off. But we could play some odd time signatures. We were getting influenced by some progressive bands like Rush, Genesis, Dream Theater, that kind of stuff. So we kind of incorporated some of that into our music as well. and there was some influence from Swedish folk music and prog rock that I think was really crucial to how the album came out. And then of course this was the first time we recorded with Fredrik Nordström in the studio Fredman in Gothenburg, which it's like a very iconic studio for a lot of bands. So I love doing this album. It was like for me it was like the first time we got to do exactly what we wanted to do. Like we felt like we could do anything. We were 20 or 21 or something like that, and you're full of confidence and full of just ambition, and there is no limit to what you can do, that kind of thing. And I think that's what sets this album apart in many ways.
And there really was no limits, because look how many more records followed. So let's go to the next one.
Yeah. Link in the Mind's Eye, which was like a continuation. I think we started touring in '95 after the gallery came out, and we loved how intense the crowd got during certain songs. We realized like what songs really work in a live environment and what doesn't, that kind of thing. And so I think the Mind's Eye really kind of builds on that, like what we experienced on tour for the first time. So it's really an intense album, and kind of ambitious, but at the same time, just we wanted to play like super intense songs, And this one hangs on my wall still. Yep. But then, after touring a lot, like we grew tired of ourselves. The whole thing of like Gothenburg death metal started to become a thing, and the Gothenburg sound and all that stuff. And we were just fed up with that, because all we wanted to do when we started the band was to be original, do original things.
And it's not easy to be original.
Of course not, but we thought we had done it. But all of a sudden, like, a lot of people started talking about the Gothenburg sound instead of just being like a bunch of bands who sounded all the same.
Yeah.
And that was kind of insulting in a way, and we were like, man, what the fuck? Like, just, all we've ever tried to do was to be original, and all of a sudden, like, we're getting lumped together. And it was the same for At the Gates and In Flames as well. They were being frustrated about it in this as well. So we decided to kind of get away from ourselves as far as possible, just prove to ourselves and to others that we could do more than just play melodic death metal. So Projector was like an experiment in that. We started using more of the clean vocals. There's a lot of different passages in there. There's keyboards and stuff like that. And this was again recorded in Studio Fredman, but it was a really creative recording. I remember, like, we experimented a lot. We tried out things that we hadn't done before, and we learned a lot. It was one of those like really defining moments, I think, for us.
Actually, it brought me to my next question. Do you think this is the real time when the real Dark Tranquillity began?
Well, I don't know. You can argue when that happened, but for me, this was really
turning point.
Where it was a turning point for sure, and. And this album was recorded originally for Osmose Records back then, but we realized this is too different and it won't really work on that label, so that's when we started shopping around for other labels. While the album was already recorded, we had the cover artwork, everything was done. And then Central Media was the company that really kind of like convinced us that they wanted us, and they were amazing, when we met them for the first time, and we realized that this is going to be a good thing, and we've been with them ever since. So this was like a cool starting point, for that. And then, a lot of touring happened after that, and we were just, and I think we were at a turning point where we didn't really know where to go, and we were trying out so many different things. So after the Projector came out, Martin Brännström joined us on keyboards as a full-time member, and we had all these ideas about what we wanted to do. And so when we started writing Haven, it was a totally different album. Like it was way softer than Projector was. It was really progressive, really strange. But then, so we recorded demos for that, and then we went out on tour, and sometimes we put it on just to see what it felt like, just to kind of try it out for ourselves, and we realized this is not going to work. And then we remade all the songs and recorded the album that became Heaven, but it was really difficult, and I remember being frustrated because I loved some of the earlier versions of the songs, but at the same time I loved some of the versions that it eventually became. So it was, you know, it was not a clear vision, you know, for once. But I think it ended up being really spectacular and great. But sometimes, you know, when you're in the creative process of something, you're so like focused, and so it's hard to kind of see it. So I remember like being disappointed when it first came out, but then when I listen to it now, I love these songs, and I love how all the great compromises that we made actually ended up being for the better.
Now, at this point, how did your fan base react to all these changes?
I remember, obviously, Projector was like a defining moment. So a lot of people were like, oh, "Hey, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? Like, this is different from before. Are we losing, you know, the true Tranquillity for something else?" But I think Haven kind of proved that no, this is something very. This is just a direction we're heading in. But this kind of went back to some of the original kind of ideas that we had, I guess, about music. And but then I think we were kind of done experimenting a little bit, and I guess we were more comfortable with where we were after Haven, and we just wanted to get back to like aggressive songwriting, like really intense stuff. Hej, hallå, hur är läget?
Ja, det är bra. Du?
Ja, det är jättebra. And so Damage Done was like for us like kind of return to what we originally set out to do. And now we had done all the experimentation, we tried all these different things, and we could kind of incorporate that, but at the same time make something really heavy and intense, you know. And it was really, and this was in 2004, I think, we recorded this one, and no, 2. And it was the album where we started breaking into America and started touring for over here, which was amazing, and it changed a lot.
Did you realize how many fans you had on this side of the Atlantic?
Yeah, we did eventually, yeah. Yeah. But it had been tough doing that before, but so for this album it was the first time we did that. And we've been doing it every year ever since. So. And then we lost after the EP. This was fun. Like this was. Well, the EP is just and this feet. The EP I don't remember much of, but this album was just a continuation. I think definitely from touring so much for Damage Done, and that's when we really kind of felt like, all right, we are a touring band. This is what we're going to do now. We toured for 1 or 2 years. We felt like, all right, this is a nice direction to take, and this was the first album where we recorded in our own studio, or in Martin Benson's studio rather. And we felt like we had full control. Now we have our studio. Niklas doing all the artwork. We're writing everything ourselves, obviously, and then also social media has left us with full responsibility over everything, so we didn't have to worry about anything, and that was such a relief and such a great way of working. You know, we could just be left alone in our studio for months and just do our thing, and I'm really happy with the way it came out. It was one of those, like, for us, defining albums where we don't have to care about anything else. We're independent, you know. So it was really cool. Like I love that. And then came Fiction.
Fiction.
Which again, like, also I think for me at least, was like, this is freedom. Like we can just totally not care about any trends or any current kind of like movements in music. We're just ourselves in our own studio. We lock the door on the inside, and then we spend a couple months there, write, record, and then such a video will be the perfect partner to kind of release all that stuff. It's a bit darker, I think, but it opened up a lot of doors for us, just because like Mystery's Crown is on there and songs like that. So it was the first time we had like a radio hit kind of thing. So there was definitely special, and it opened up a lot of possibilities and opportunities for us. So it was really special. Like I love making this album. And then we have We Are the Boy, which is probably one of the more difficult albums to make, because there was a lot of friction within the band. Like we tried so many different things, and we didn't really know what direction to take. Martin H wanted to go one way, Anders wanted to do it one way, one to take one direction. So it was tough. You know, it's one of those albums where we were recording it, we were like, is this gonna turn out? Like, we don't know.
And at the end of the day, how did it turn out for you?
It turned out great, like, and everybody's super excited once we finished it. But I think it's a kind of, it's maybe a Scandinavian thing where you doubt yourself so much. We never.
I think it's a European thing, because I'm European too, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's, we don't want to like have any false expectations like that. We just go like, this.
Yeah, and then the end result is always like mind blowing.
Yeah. And it's a better thing. Like it's a good thing to feel like that, I guess. But it's frustrating as well. Like you spend 3 months working on something that you go like, I don't know about this. Like, is it gonna be good? Like you try as hard as you can, but you just don't know. But then once we listen to it, it's like, well, yeah, actually, this is fucking wrong. So there's some incredible songs in there, and I love it, And then the Construct, which again was also incredibly difficult to make, like because it clearly doesn't get any easier, the older you get. You might learn a couple of tricks, but you also learn. I don't know, but you learn that what is it that we really want to do? Well, what is the point of this? Like you start questioning yourself, and with Construct, there was also this sense of like, what direction are we going? Like, what should we do? You try out so many different things, and it was unclear, like, and this album was written in the studio where we just recorded everything, and it was just moved things around in the computer, to kind of put the song together. And we liked that, but at the same time we didn't really know if this was the best way to write. But again, like once we kind of finished it and we started putting all the pieces together, realized, maybe we should trust our instincts and just and go with it, because it ended up an amazing album, I think, and I love every single song on there. But I've never doubted myself more than during the recording of it.
Throughout our conversation, did you notice that the longer you go on, the more experience the band has, the more doubt there is?
Yeah, of course. Because when you're young, well, as I said, like when we recorded Gallery, no one could touch us. We felt like we were the best band in the universe. Anything we did was fantastic, and you're just full of this confidence that I guess you lose with each year,
And it should be the other way around, in a way, with more experience.
That would be better, yes. But it's clearly not the case, And then, fucking hey, Atoma.
Yep.
And again, I mean, this was difficult as well, because of the fact that Martin Henderson left the band just as we were starting to kind of write it, or we had like most of the material. And he's always been like, even though he didn't write much the last couple of years, but he was always like the guy who kind of collected all material and was part of like the organization, and like song structure, that kind of stuff. So now we're kind of, all right, then we need to step up, and make this perfect without his help. And that took some time, to get into that. But I think, like especially like Anders really stepped up, and he wrote most of the stuff on the album. Martin Bresson wrote, and Nicholas wrote as well. And I think a lot of this album comes out of a frustration of like, what are we doing? Like, how do we stay relevant? How do we kind of convince ourselves that we are relevant and have something still to say? I think lyrically, I haven't talked anything about lyrics yet, but for me, this was kind of like dealing with what's going on in the world, like current events, like politics and fear and anxiety and terrorism and all that stuff, like all the stuff that just is 24/7 on the news. And so it became like a really important album for us to make, like just in terms of like proving to ourselves that we can still do this and we still have something to say, but also out of frustration of everything that's going on in the world. We just needed to write a really angry and intense album, to get all those feelings out.
When you look back at all of the albums, where's the consistency coming from? Because you have a lot of releases. There are bands that exist as long as you, but they may not have 50% of what you have out there.
I don't know. Like, it's probably like a shared like an idea of what music is, what's important in music, what we like. Whenever we talk about bands and music that we listen to, we always kind of come back to the same things, like it's, passion, integrity, melody, emotion. It's those things that matter to us, that makes us feel something and makes us something that resonates within us. And if music doesn't do that, we just and I guess we've been pretty picky about the stuff that we listen to, and also about what we do. So whenever we write something that we go like, I'm not feeling it. It sounds cool, it's intense, fast, whatever, but it means nothing to me. Then we skip it and we move forward, and then we try something else. So it's we set our own standard, obviously, and I think that standard is pretty high, and it's just we always said like it passes through all of our filters, and if all of us don't really, gel with it or love it or dig it, then we just get rid of it and then we move on. So it's, I don't know, like this is our standard, and that's really.
Finally, when you look back to 1989, to that little band in the garage, and now in 2017, how is that even possible that happened?
I don't know, but I guess like just because we were just 14, 15.
Bunch of crazy kids with a dream.
Yeah, but it wasn't even a dream. It was like we just loved playing together and hanging out together, being in the rehearsal room, writing and trying out stuff. Like playing guitar together. It was so much fun. And then just being a band became a thing. We were a band. And there were tons of bands around, but we were one of them. And that became such a huge part of our identity. That's who we are. So we never really planned for the future. We were just like, we love this. Let's keep doing it. And then it just exploded. And kind of happened from there on. And I don't know. Like it just became such a huge part of our identity and who we are that it was unstoppable.
Thank you.